Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a Dazzled or Disappointed for you on a brand that I love buying products from this brand, and it's Huda Beauty. So I did pick up the two additional Obsessions palettes. They're these little guys right here. If you recall, she has released 4 previously. I do have 3 out of those 4. I have the electric, I have the mauve, and then I have the smoky. The only one I don't have is like the browns version, and so that was because there was really only one shimmer, even though the palette does look beautiful. But this go around she released Coral Obsessions and Gemstone Obsessions, both of which I am all here for. I love coral type shades. They make my eye color pop. I love, as you know, those pops of shimmer foil type shades. So these two were right up my alley, and so I thought, okay, I am picking both of these bad boys up. So I'm here to tell you the pros and cons, like the what has worked for me, what hasn't, if anything, and then I'll give you swatches. We'll go into final thoughts. I'll show you what I have on my eyes today. So let's just go ahead and get into this review. Okay, I'm going to start with the Coral Obsessions. So you know these are super cute. They are very tiny. I mean, that's something that we all realized the last go around. The difference is that it's just the packaging that's small, because inside you do get 9 full-size eyeshadows, which is amazing. So let me see if I can tell. Okay, so the total product, you get 9 pans of product at 0.04 ounces, which I think comes to a total, it looks like, of 1.1 grams. So the only thing you're sacrificing here is the size of the palette, which makes these incredibly travel friendly. And so let's go into swatches. I am wearing both of these on my eyes today. We'll go into what I am wearing here in a bit, but let's go into swatches for Coral Obsessions, and then we'll jump into the other one. Okay, so here's the first 4. These really don't have names. So this is the first 4. This right here, this metallic looking shade, is only one of 2 metallic shades in the palette. The rest are mattes, so it does lean more towards matte than metallic. But those are the first 4 right there. Yes, I already realized that a couple of these look kind of patchy when swatching, but as I always say, it's not really an indicator of the performance of the shadow. And then my swatches are 1 swipe. Swatches for pigmentation purposes. So that's what those look like right there. Let me be right back with the next set of swatches. Here we have the last 5, including my thumb, which is a very light transition shade. And then this last one on my pinky is the other metallic shade in this palette. This is very reminiscent, in my opinion, of the Natasha Denona Sunset palette. A lot of brands are now doing this sunset type theme, which a lot of people are going for, or in the market for. So that's what these look like. Again, real patchy right there. That's what that looks like. Okay, so we have gone through the Coral palette. Let me just jump you right into swatches of the Gemstones palette. Now, I am also going to tell you that when this came in, this purple one, no, this blue one was broken, completely shattered. There was powder everywhere. I had to like really press it back into place. So if you do place an order for this online, just know that some of these are a little bit softer, because these are the metallic shades. Metallic shades a lot of times tend to be softer and more breakable, and apparently that is the case even with these. And so just keep that in mind. If you're placing your order online, a lot of times for these types of palettes, it's just best to grab them in store. Here we go for the first 4. And again, I am going to emphasize that these are very, very buttery soft. They're very creamy feeling. It almost feels like a cream product, but in powder form, yet they are powder. So keep that in mind as well. And here they are, very shiny, very metallic. So if you're not into this kind of thing, then you won't like this, because this entire palette is consisting of these types of shades. So I'll be right back with the next set. The next 4, and I will do the last one by itself, here are what these look like. This set of 4 does include a couple of coppery shades, so it's not all just jewel toned eyeshadow shades. You do have a couple of coppery ones in there. These blow my mind with their saturation and the pigmentation, especially this one right here. Again, keeping in mind these are one swipe swatches, I did not even have to dig in the pan. So in all honesty, this is the kind of saturation and pigmentation you get without even having to wet your brush. So that's what those look like right there. I will be right back with the final shade. This is the last shade and the shade that did come broken in my palette, but it is the blue one in the bunch. And again, very, very saturated in color. And that's what that one looks like right there. Okay, so now that we've gone through swatches, I'm going to zoom you in because, like I said, I am wearing both palettes on my eyes today. I have been using them for probably about a week and a half now because that's how long I've had them. I just didn't have a chance to do a review up until now. And so from the Coral palette, I'm just going to let you know I am wearing this very rich red tone shade in the middle in my crease, and then this brown shade I used on the ends of my lids to deepen up the eye look. The lower lash line is this shade right here, this middle matte, and so that is all I have going on from the Coral palette. From the Gemstones palette, I pretty much have, it's all purples. So what I did was I used this purple shade right here in the middle on the outer portion of my lid, right by that deeper brown that I had put. And then in the middle is this purple right here, which has kind of multi-dimensional sparkle. Some of these do have sparkle built into the formula. It's not anything loose that kind of like the, as I always reference the Too Faced, sometimes their glitters just flake off. This is actually built into the formula. And again, because these seem very creamy, it just mixes in very well. It's not like you need any kind of adhesive, anything like that. And then I've got this almost like a duochrome shade right here on the inner portion of my lid. I think that's it. So let me zoom you in right quick and I will walk you through that one more time so that you can remember what I just referred to. So I've got that bright reddish coral shade on my crease. On the outer portion, I have that darker brown that I showed you on the end of the second row. Lower lash line, I have the lighter peach shade. It's also a matte in the middle of the third row. On the lid, I have that rich purple right here, the purple with multi-dimensional sparkle right here, and then that lighter duochrome right there. The middle shade purple, I did use first with a wet brush, but I then went in over with my finger just to kind of see if I would get the same intensity. I had not used them wet up until this point. So that's what I'm wearing on my lids, and now at this point I want to take you into final thoughts. So a couple of things. I will let you know that these are made in PRC, and so these are made in China, but the other ones were too. So over the past couple of days, just out of curiosity, I had already formulated my opinion of these, and I was just curious to what other people were saying, and a lot of people are giving these negative reviews, saying they're made in China, the quality isn't as good, and so I have to disagree with that. The thing about it is the others are also made in China, and a lot of people are loving those. So just a heads up, these are not the only two of these Obsessions palettes made in China. The whole lineup of the Obsessions palettes have been made in China. So that being said, I'm absolutely going to tell you that I am dazzled by these two. I will say that the Coral, the mattes are a little bit dustier than what I remember my other Obsessions palettes to have. They're a little bit drier and dustier, thus the patchiness when I swatch them. However, I have not found that to impact the performance of the shadow the way it goes on. I don't have to work harder to blend. I don't have to work harder to build it up. It all goes on really, really nicely. And again, that's why I don't want to rule something out just because it doesn't swatch very well, because it can perform very differently on the eye. And I have found that to be the case for the Coral. Just keep that in mind. If you are a fan of foiled metallic super saturated eyeshadows, hands down I say get the Gemstones. If you're choosing between the two, the Gemstones is probably at this point my favorite out of all the Obsessions palettes. But then again, that's what I lean towards. I love the metallic standout pop type of shades, I don't care that there's no mattes in here because I can supplement a matte from a different palette. I love the fact that this has all of the metallic shades. I heard somebody say, or I watched a video, I can't remember who it was, and they were like, I'm getting kind of tired of these types of palettes where it's all these metallic shades and no mattes. And I'm like, okay, but there are 1,000,001 palettes out there that either are all matte, that have a significant amount of mattes with 1 or 2 shimmer shades or 1 or 2 foil shades. There's not near as many that are just the whole palette as just your foiled, rich, metallic type shades. So I don't understand that, because to me, I'm all for this. I can absolutely and easily supplement a different palette to complement this. In this case, I used this one. This is not a whole lot of trouble to use 2 palettes to be able to create a really intense look. Also, what I'm going to tell you about the Gemstone is that the shade that I used wet, it almost seemed to start to... Don't use these wet, because I don't think that it goes very well once you dig your wet brush into the pan. It got my pan of product started to get very crumbly. It almost started to kind of move the product in the pan. That's why I say, again, these are very, very creamy products. So what I did, I put the wet brush away, and then I went in, as I usually do with these types of shades, with my finger. They also go on incredibly well with a brush. So if you are opposed to using your finger and you only like products which you can use a brush, these go on so good that you don't even need a wet brush, because quite frankly, I get the same result with using my finger to apply than I do with a wet brush, and I'm not ruining the pan of product. And so you don't need a wet brush with these. You can absolutely use your finger, and they go on so saturated. The first time I used this palette, I was like, I cannot believe how saturated and how colorful, how rich my eyeshadow looks. And of course I use primer, but this just is, it blew my mind. Now these are $27 each. I think that's a really great deal, because again, people say it's kind of expensive for such a small palette. The packaging is what's small, not the pans of product. You get 9 pans of product in here for full-size product for 27 bucks. And I think that is really amazing. I love that she added a couple of different themes to her Obsessions line, because I love this eyeshadow palette line. This, I'm going to be putting up soon a video of what makeup I take with me when I travel, and you might see this in there because I have used these. I tend to use the Obsessions ones when I travel because of the versatility, the amount of space they save. They're just so tiny. Anyways, that's a different story. I love these. I'm dazzled by these. The price point, amazing. The quality, in my opinion, is incredible, despite the fact that they're not made in Italy or the United States. I think it's really great quality. Again, if I had to choose, I would choose Gemstone, but the coral is also really nice, despite the fact that some of those mattes, most of those mattes, are very dry and appear patchy. They apply on the eye beautifully. Okay guys, those of you familiar to my channel know that I end each video with a verse of the day to give you some encouragement. Every day can be a beatdown, whether it be work, everyday life, watching the news day in and day out, and it's almost nothing but bad news. But I hope to bring you encouragement via the Bible and a scripture verse, and so today's comes from Psalm 102, 17 through 18, and it says, God will respond to the prayer of the destitute. He will not despise their plea. Let this be written for a future generation, that a people not yet created may praise the Lord. I think that's a beautiful verse. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found this video helpful if you were kind of intrigued or wondering what the quality was on these new Huda Beauty Obsessions palettes. Take care. If you would like to subscribe to my channel, I would love to have you on this journey with me. No pressure. But if you also don't mind giving me a thumbs up, it's my understanding. I don't know too much about the logistics of YouTube, quite frankly. I just know that I love makeup and I like talking to you guys. So I put videos out there for you so that we can interact, but it's my understanding that thumbs up really help out, and so those would really help me out if you don't mind giving me a thumbs up. All right guys, see you very soon in the next video. Take care. Bye everybody.